You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Listening to Ring Kings Boxing on the PRO Media Network.
What's going on, fam? How y'all doing? Welcome to another installment of Ring King Boxing World. We in the building, man. I'm Big Q, chiming in on this edition of Ring Kings Boxing. We're going to be covering Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, the Trilogy, Teo and Loma talking mess. Terence Crawford, what's going on with his next fight? What's going on with Devin Haney? We'll talk about it all on this edition of Ring Kings Boxing World. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on Ring Kings Boxing. Shedrick, good to see you in the chat. Brand Pearson, big ups to your fam. Kevin, GM Kev in the building as well. Big ups to the family members. As we bring my co-hosts on Ring Kings Boxing for the true boxing fan, former pro and top boxing contributor, Eddie Too Mean Johnson. What's going on, Too Mean?
Yo, what's good? What's good?
Everything good, my friend. And in this edition of Ring Kings Boxing, man, listen, a lot going on in the fight game, bro. A lot going on in the fight game. Would like to see a little bit more consistency with some of these fights being made as opposed to all of the shit talking that you're customarily hearing. You know, the ducking of, as it were, you know, and what's going on with Devin Haney and the potential fight there. But all I can say is, man, we just have to report on what we can and keep it moving. All right, then first, coming up first of the Ring King Boxing as we get the show underway, Deontay Wilder, to me, man, he's reported to be in amazing physical shape according to various reports that's covered. Skybox had a report on it. Also, Boxing Scene had a report on it about him being in terrific and top-notch shape for his trilogy, for the final installment of his series with Tyson Fury. And this is coming because one of Deontay's boxing proteges, Raphael, had an opportunity to box with him. He was an unbeaten heavyweight puncher from Nigeria who gets guidance from Wilder. So he was apparently in the training, you know, and Wilder's in Miami training, by the way. And he witnessed Wilder training and talk about how intensified Wilder's training sessions is. And of course, we know Deontay hasn't said much to the press. He took a few pictures and posted on Instagram or whatnot, but he has not really said too much. And various other reports have indicated that he had a brief bout with depression after losing his title. You remember, of course, the man's unbeaten. He never lost a fight ever. He loses the crown right there, and he's focused, unlike any other past event, according to various reports circulating around his camp. Now, he suffered his first career loss. That's back in February with Tyson Fury. Really stopped him bad, made him look bad. And of course, we know there are a lot of stuff circulating around the first fight and the second fight, dealing with Tyson Fury's glove and all that kind of stuff. Wilder didn't talk on that. His brother did. His brother talked about that. Wilder never said nothing about it, but he know that he was going to get an opportunity to rectify the wrong. Too Mean, let's talk about this, man. You've seen fighters, undefeated fighters, lose before. You know, one of the Charlos, they lost recently. You know, their belt up against Tony Harrison, but then came back to take it back. Of course, it was a crushing thing, as you've seen him have to go through, and you've seen this happen before to some of the greats. You've seen some of the greats go, that were undefeated and lose fights, like Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, and it goes on and on and on. Muhammad Ali. What do you think about Deontay Wilder? Prospects of coming back and getting a win against Tyson Fury in the third fight.
You know what I'm saying? If he could come to the realization what he did wrong and make that correction. You know what I'm saying? Instead of not going by ego, but going by intelligence. And like, okay, this is what I did wrong. This is what I need to, you know what I'm saying? I need to correct. If not, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury, you know what I'm saying? If he can get away with cheating again, he'll probably will. You know what I'm saying? Same outcome and come again, man. But yeah, a lot of people don't want to face what they did wrong, and you know what I'm saying, make the corrections. You know, so they go by ego. You know what I'm saying? Try to jump back in there knowing they're not prepared, or they ain't make the adjustment and the corrections to, you know what I'm saying, the mistakes that they did when they lost. You know what I'm saying? They able to do that. You know what I'm saying? You should see a different outcome, man.
Let me ask you this, because that's interesting. The effects of having an undefeated fighter that immediately, because like when he lost the fight, a lot of people came out, and it's the same stuff I constantly hear after fights happen. Like it happened with Anthony Joshua when he lost the fight to Ruiz. You had guys, George Foreman, and like the rest of these guys coming out talking about don't take the fight, don't take the next fight, you know, take a tune-up fight, then get back in there. That was said after Joshua lost to Ruiz. That was said, you know, after he lost to Tyson Fury in the second fight. And what's the mental matrix of something like that? A fighter pulling themselves together. And then listen, it wasn't a close fight. Tyson Fury decimated Deontay Wilder, unlike any other fighter ever did him before. You know, he beat him up bad, battered him, bruised him. You know, it was suspect how it all went anyway, to be honest with you. And he gonna definitely get away with cheating. He cheated the first two fights. He gonna definitely try to cheat this third fight. It's not just him. He got a whole structure around him protecting him, because he should have been thrown out the fight when they caught him cheating when he was trying to pay off that farmer. But that got swept under the cover. So it's a whole matrix of a power structure around Tyson Fury that's protecting his stinking ass. But I'm asking you about what does Deontay Wilder need to do to beat Tyson Fury, because you're taking an immediate fight, the rematch to come back at him. It's not, and it's not similar to what Dillian White did when he got cocked by Povetkin, which that fight is slated for November. But the reality is, what's the reality? What's the mental matrix of Deontay Wilder? He dealt with depression. That was a part of it. Shaking back to get the win and fight Tyson Fury, who's classically, as far as his technique, is a better boxer than Deontay Wilder. And Deontay has a pretty limited boxing set. He does have that crashing right, but that's you know, everything else is wanting. How do he rectify the situation and beat Tyson Fury? There's a whole power structure against Deontay Wilder in this stuff here. He has to knock this guy out. How does he do that?
It depends on his mental toughness. And you know what I'm saying? A great fighter, nothing, no matter what it is, will discourage them of being confident in themselves and you know what I'm saying, being able to beat the guy that beat them. Because all the greats, you know what I'm saying, every time they lost, they asked for the rematch in the interview to the guy that they lost to. They're like, yeah, I'd like another shot because I believe I can beat you. You know what I'm saying? That's a powerful statement when you sitting up, the guy just beat you and you look him in the eye and ask for a rematch and say, I believe I can beat you. We try it again. You know what I'm saying? But Wilder, he definitely, you know what I'm saying, he got to have that. You know what I'm saying? By him, they saying him suffering with depression, that's like his confidence is like kind of messed up. You know what I'm saying? If he's sure of himself, ain't no way in the world that he will go into depression like that. But we'll see. I would like to see some footage of him training. I want to see what he looked like.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, man. When he, you know, I don't know too many pictures. I think you could probably Google most of that. I don't know if they have any video footage of him training, because you know, more than likely he'll probably keep the people out from filming him what he's doing. He's trying to have every possible advantage to doing it, but they say he's angry, and I'm pretty sure he's angry. But whether or not he can be able to do it, that's coming there and knock Tyson Fury around and beat him. You know, we'll see, man. Hopefully he does, man, to rectify it wrong, because Tyson Fury and this camp are dirty, man. They some dirty people, man. I mean, really dirty, cheating bastards. Anyway, let's keep it going. Wilder remains as the WBC #1 rank, where White drops to 5 in the rankings. Last month, shocker at Matchroom's Fight Club or camp has created a shuffle in the names in the WBC's latest heavyweight rankings. Dillian White, who's coming off the WBC's mandatory challenger and interim champion, was brutally knocked out in the 5th by Alexander Povetkin. While Povetkin captured the WBC's interim title, the sanctioning body president Suleiman made it clear that his victory over White did not necessarily make him the new mandatory. What kind of game is that? You know, it would have been right for White, but it's not right for Povetkin. You know, that's what kind of game Suleiman plays. That's why I don't like the WBC that much. Coming into the fight with White, the Russian boxer was ranked at number 9 in the WBC's top, and he brutalized. He got knocked down twice, but he knocked the man out cold. They had to wake the son bitch up with smelling sauce. At the World Boxing Council had a sanction the fight as a voluntary defense for White. White had an immediate rematch clause, which was quickly exercised. The rematch is slated to take place November the 21st, or the 28th. The WBC's latest ranking has White fallen all the way down to number 5 in the top 10. Andy Ruiz sits number 4. Luis Ortiz is at number 3. Alexander Usyk is 2, and Deontay is at the 1 position. Now, with Povetkin's victory, the WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury was free from his mandatory obligation to face off against Dillian White. Remember, he complained about 1,000-something days of not having an opportunity, and when he gets an opportunity to fight for a crown, he gets knocked out cold turkey. And I've often said about Dillian White, he's sloppy. He gained and stacked on weight. And remember, he made fun of Anthony Joshua and Jarrell Miller and Jarrell Miller and the other guy for testing dirty. But then he turns around and tests dirty himself. He stacked on a bunch of weight, no head movement. He stands right in front of you. He doesn't see the uppercut. That's how Anthony Joshua got his ass up out of there when they fought. He hit him with an uppercut that he didn't see, and then Povetkin hit him with one he didn't see either. He's suspect to the uppercut. Bottom line, we talked about it, and like I said, the guy's sloppy, man. He's not a champion in my book. If he faced any of the top 3 heavyweights, he would have been knocked out cold turkey. Period. You know. So bottom line, what's your thought process on the new WBC's top 5 rankings coming out to me?
Oh man, like I said, it be bullshitting people. That damn politics, man. Well, like I said, with Dillian White, man, or any of those fighters that be, you know what I'm saying, if you don't see them improving every fight, they're not taking it serious, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying, if you really about to fight, every fight you fight, you're supposed to be getting better and better. If you're not doing that, you ain't, you know what I'm saying, you're not serious, man. You need to find something else to do. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying, you get knocked out. Sometimes you might not wake up from that shit, man.
I was looking at some of the fights that was going on, man, with like I said, I'm not really a big fan of Dillian White. I thought Dillian White, you know, it was a decent heavyweight. He was a top 10 heavyweight, but he's lacking, man. Like I said, he's lacking, man. And of course, Du Bois wanted to fight him, you know, but he didn't want to fight Du Bois because he knew Du Bois would have put that pain on his ass. But anyway, he says nothing for him to gain to do it. I mean, Dillian White is he's a half a fighter, man. But anyway, let's keep it going. Let's move on to the next topic of discussion. Let's move into some of the discussion what's going on with Teofimo and Lomachenko. You know, those guys are talking. We talked about this fight in the last show, and we're gonna continue to talk about this fight up until the fight because it's a damn good fight. But you know, in this episode of Ring Kings, we're gonna cover what Teofimo said about what he needs to do to get Lomachenko out of there. Listen closely to this.
How really have you been able to target 135 as a weight for this fight and do it so that you're at your best?
With my team, man, perfecting athletes. I mean, they make sure that I'm able to. I'm capable of making the weight, you know, comfortably, and just on top of that, man, it's just a lot of hard work. You know, this fight going into it, man, since the pandemic and everything, this will be October 17th. It'll be 10 months for me since my last fight, 14 months for Lomachenko. I think both of us probably needed the rest. So it's going to be a great fight to watch. And, you know, with a lot of work, man, just drinking 2 gallons of water every day, I'm able to cut off the weight very easily. So I'm not stressing about the weight-wise.
Predicting a knockout, Teo?
Oh, hell yeah. I got to knock this guy out, man. I got to knock this guy out. Look, I'm not going to look for the knockout. If it comes, it comes. But I know that I trust my abilities. I trust the fact that I'm only getting stronger. And the fact that we've rested for this long, it's going to be a bad night for this man.
Do you say a knockout because you're worried Because I'm sorry, Molly. Do you say a knockout because you're worried that if it's a decision, it won't go your way?
Oh
Is
no,
that why you're
it's
saying the
just
knockout? You got to knock him out.
nah. Everybody loves knockouts. Why not,
Okay.
man? What I do is
Okay.
very exciting, you know. And I'm just a young, hungry fighter. And a lot of people may call me as arrogant, but when it comes to my sport, I'm very good at what I do.
Teo saying he got to knock this guy out. 2 Mean, what's your thought on that?
Oh, yeah, that like I say, everybody do like to see knockouts. You know what I'm saying? That's selling the fight by him saying that too. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gonna be tuned in to see it. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be fighting against pound for pound one of the best out there.
Right.
Gonna knock him out. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna make it more exciting, man. Make people want to see even more. Like, I want to see him knock him out. Because Romachenko did get dropped one of his fights.
Right.
I want to see if this young cat can, you know what I'm saying? Because he be knocking motherfuckers out in great fashion when he do knock them out. But it's exciting for boxing, man. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna a lot of people gonna be tuned into this one.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man, and the reality too. For Teofimo to say that I got to knock this guy out, because listen, if I was Teofimo, I wouldn't leave nothing to the officials. Listen, there have been some suspect stuff going on with Lomachenko. We know that he has a power structure around him similar to Tyson Fury. I wouldn't go in there and leave nothing to the judges. Teofimo knows that. He stopped short of saying that listen, I got to knock this guy out. And he's like, well, why you need to think, I just say everybody like a knockout. I think that was real strategically said. They'll know that you go in there, get the knockout, and don't leave it in the hands of the judges that can spoil the night for Teofimo. Knock this guy out and move forward and claim your greatness. So it'll be interesting. This guy, he's a disciplined fighter. He's angry. He has power, and I like Teofimo. It's going to be interesting because almost up to this point, Lomachenko's been on a golden carpet ride. You know what I'm saying? Everything, it's just, seems like he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. Lamo's a really terrific fighter. He can fight and punch from all angles. He's terrific. But I want to see what Teo could do here, man. And I think that Timo, he applies that pressure. Let's see what Lamo do. Would Lamo get on his bike and run? Or what's going to happen in that fight? We're gonna keep moving on and keep looking at this fight. But I'm going to wait. We're going to play the replay of this of what Lamo said about this in the next upcoming bout. Of course, we have some time before both of these fighters actually lace them up and get ready to put them on. So we're going to move on to the next information here. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world of Devin Haney. Now, to me, we talked about what Devin Haney is dealing with, and so far as trying to get the fight with Gary Russell Jr. And there's now information out that Hearns put out that that Gary Russell Jr. isn't answering his communications. He's not responding to him anymore. We don't know what's going on there. And of course, it was a back and forth between Haney and Russell. Gary Russell Jr. came out with a social media post saying that his father was trying to middleman them for the fight, you know what I'm saying, and doing, suspicious moves, and Gary Russell wasn't going for it. Of course, he's been spewing a bunch of venom at several different fighters, including guys like Bud Crawford. And it looked like the fight done went still to the point where there were several reports coming out that saying Haney is now turning to look at Gamboa, and what do you think about this, man? Why is everybody looking at Gamboa old ass? You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's dealing with the Achilles injury. He was knocked out his last fight, and he's not really a threat. That's pretty much what it is. He's a toss-up fighter for Devin Haney, and I really don't like that, man. Come on, let's get some fighters in here. Don't keep throwing up these old has-been ass fighters like Gamboa, who Tank Davis just dispatched not too long ago. What are your thought process on Devin Haney? They're trying to get a fight with Gamboa on November the 7th.
Man, that's crazy because. Like I said, they look like they try to give us bootlegs and shit, man. I mean, no disrespect. I respect every fighter to lace him up and get in that ring. But come on, man. He's a champion, man. He's supposed to, you know what I'm saying? You can't see the champion fight champions. And, you know what I'm saying? You want to take an easy bout. I mean, I know you're trying to stay active and all that, but, you got to get the fans what they need. The fans pay y'all bills, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Gamboa is like, you know what I'm saying? He's like a shot. I won't say a shot fighter, but it's like every time
you can say it too, man. He is a shot fighter, bro. I mean, you see how you look against Tank Davis, and that's before having that injury.
Yeah, he fucking cherry picking people, man, for an easy win, an easy payday, man, and fucking the fans out of the good fights and shit. You know what I'm saying? All that talking and shit, and you know what I'm saying? Nothing comes behind the talking, man. Just talk. And I'm tired of this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like getting a bootleg movie, motherfuckers walking on the screen and shit. You can't even... Like, I'm tired of that fucking shit, man. They need to cut that shit out and put on these fights. Make these fucking fights happen instead of just talking, man.
When you got that bootleg movie to me, did you take it back to the guy and say, man, take this back, get my money back?
Like, give my shit back, man. Like, man, fuck that. Get a better copy, man.
All right, let's move to the next one, bro. Terence Crawford and Kell Brook. This won't help your blood pressure. If you are upset about the Gamboa fight, Terence Crawford and Kell Brook possibly trying to make the fight. And of course, we wanted to see another guy fight Bud Crawford. I mean, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, anybody else that's a top 10 fighter. Kell Brook, we know he has a following overseas, but Kell Brook is a dude. He's kind of outside here, man. He's not a guy that most people are afraid of. Since Errol Spence dispatched him several years ago and took his belt, he's been mostly on the outside looking in. Terence Crawford and them are trying to make a fight happen with this guy in the middle of November. To me, once again, you got Gamboa, who's 40 years old, coming off injury. And then, of course, you have this guy here who had an injury to his eye. He hadn't been the same since that Errol Spence fight. What's your thought process on Terence Crawford fighting Kell Brook?
Oh, man, he got a lot. He got a lot to lose if he was to lose from this guy, man. You know what I'm saying? The fact that he is injured with the eye at the end, dealt with Errol Spence and Triple G. I was like, come on, man. Like I say, like they keep fucking us, man. You know what I'm saying? We keep giving into this shit. We need to stop giving into them, man. I'm like, man, we ain't paying for no more fights until y'all fight. Give us the fans what we want to see, man. Like Kell Brook. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's a curious thing for me too, Ed.
Yeah, you can look at it like, I mean, there's many ways you could look at it. If he was to go in there and destroy him in better fashion than what, you know what I'm saying, than what Errol Spence did, like get him out there early. You know what I'm saying? That could set up for a bigger, you know what I'm saying, set up for the fight between him and Errol Spence. Make it an even bigger fight. Because people going to be like, oh, man, that nigga destroyed him faster and worse than what Errol Spence did. That's going to big up their fight between them two down the line.
But for that premise, you could have fought a guy that's in his prime, that's a former champion, like Keith Thurman. I think they're picking Kell Brook because they feel he's a toss-up fight. And I've often said about top-ranked skewering Bud Crawford away from tough fighters, man. Now, no disrespect to Kell Brook, man, but come on, man. There's tougher opponents that you can fight here in the States.
Yeah, I know. They try to play it safe until they get to that big fight like that.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen to Kell Brook, what he thinks about it. To me, hold that commentary, bro. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm going to play what Kell Brook says about the potential fight about Terence Crawford. Here we go.
Why should I think you can beat Terence Crawford?
You know, listen, you know boxing. Look what Tyson Fury did. Everybody wrote him off. We've seen this time and time again in boxing. Don't get me wrong. Terence Crawford is one hell of a fight. He deserves to be in the top 3 pound for pound. But I know what my ability is. I know what I can do. I'm not, like I said, I would fight Terence Crawford in his backyard. That square circle is home for me. It doesn't matter where the fight is, and I've got self-belief in that. I'm very strong. And I know what I can do in there, and believe me, it boxed the guy. It boxed Ricky Burns from England. He couldn't stop, but he's obviously grown since then and got a lot better. But believe you me, you know when you see a fight, you know that I can definitely hurt this guy 100%. This is his biggest test, and this is the fight the fans need at this time with what's going up in the world.
I don't think you're the fight that we want to see, Kell Brook. Not no disrespect to your partner, but when you're talking Bud Crawford, there are several other prospective fights that I'd rather see before a Kell Brook Crawford fight. I mean, if Thurman is there, I would take Thurman there. He's in his prime, former champion. Even though he had a difficult fight with Manny Pacquiao recently, I still like what Thurman does there. Pacquiao took his belt. That would be an interesting fight to me. A really good fight is Thurman and Crawford. Even I know Sean Porter just fought not too long ago. Sean Porter would have been an interesting fight as well. But somebody, in that ilk, but Kell Brook is on the outside and a very safe pick, not as bad as a Gamboa. But I mean, even though he can go in there and he beats him up bad, that's still leftovers from Errol Spence. And right now, it looked like it, according to what I'm looking at, and that's why I was saying it was a bad idea for Bud Crawford to go over there with Bob Arum, because he don't have anybody for him to fight. I mean, he should have did like a lot of the other great fighters did and went his ass over there to PBC and been a part of that family over there with Al Heyman. But that way, if he had done that, he would have had fights. They could have lined up fights with all those guys. The Porters, we'd have got the Porter versus Bud Crawford. We've got the Thurman versus Crawford. But you heard what Kell Brook said to me. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, saying it is one thing and doing it is another thing. You know what I'm saying? So we see if we can back up what he say. You know what I'm saying? Make it simple. I'm like, because he said that shit when he fought Earl Spence. He said the same thing when he fought Triple G. And look what happened. So let's see if we can back it up. Well, proof is he can't. I mean, against the top dudes like Crawford, you know what I'm saying? When he fought the top dudes, he got knocked out. You know what I'm saying? They stopped it.
Yeah, we're going to see definitely, man. There's no doubt about it, man. In the matchup, we just have to wait and see, buddy, because these guys talking a lot. I definitely won't see a Kell Brook and Bud Crawford fight. That's not my favorite fight right there, but that's what they're pushing for, these safe fights for them until something else. But we know the time frame for Errol Spence and what him and Al Heyman are shooting out. And those guys are promoting, and Spence said this last year, that his intentions is to unify the welterweight division. His next fight will be against Danny Garcia, and then it'll be provided. Next fight will then be against Manny Pacquiao, who's also PBC, and then his third fight will be against Bud Crawford for the unification of welterweight belt. To have all the belts under, and that'd be fine to see, man. I love to see a welterweight champion, a unified welterweight champion. It's been a while since we've seen the guy holding all of the crowns, all of the belts there. So that's what Errol Spence said. They seem to be dancing on his timeline, because I'm telling you what, Bob Arum cannot get the good fights for Errol Spence, and he's throwing up these people like Kell Brook, and I just don't like that fight, man. I think it's other fights out there. Remember, this guy's getting older. Bud Crawford's getting older and overfighting these lesser opponents. No disrespect, no disrespect to the Mean Machine and all these other guys, but these are lesser foes for Bud Crawford, and his prime years are wasting away taking these type of fights. It's a shame. Anyway, let's go to another news topic right here. Roy Jones Jr. showing off mind-numbing hand speed there to me. And now, of course, we know that Roy Jones is looking to blazing fast. He put his training in preparation for the next exhibition match against Tyson. The speed that the 51-year-old 4-division champion, who's 66-9 with 47 knockouts, is that of the younger fighter in his 20s. If you take a look at some of the footage that's around, you can see that hand speed is looking pretty damn good to me.
Oh, yeah.
Now, fortunate, he's facing Mike Tyson. So we'll see how exactly how it is. But before we go, we got the music playing. To me, what do you think about Roy retaining some of that hand speed?
Yeah, that's like about to lose. I mean, the speed goes away a little bit, but the power never goes away. They're gonna keep that power for life, man. Speed might go a little bit. So, but you can hit the pads in the bag and all that stuff is one thing, but actually in the ring, somebody that's throwing some shit just as deadly as you throwing them, it's a whole another ball game. So we'll see. I would like to see a little bit of sparring sessions between them two. You know what I'm saying? See where they really at.
Yeah, that'll definitely be nice to see to me, man. In this fight. So we'll keep it going, man. That'll do it for this edition of Ring Kings Boxing, man. We'll be back soon with Ring Kings Boxing. Remember, Ring Kings Boxing comes at you every week, every Wednesday night, with breaking down this information. The next show we'll break down the Charlo brothers fights that's coming up real soon, man. Big fights. September the 26th, we'll preview the Charlos and other boxing news on the next show. So thank you for joining us on this episode of Green Kings. From me and to me, peace.
Peace.
You're now listening to the Ring Kings Boxing on the PRO Media Network.
What's up, sports world? The PRO Media Network is on a mission to reach 10,000 subscribers. So besides our regular programs like the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, the Pelican Post Game Report, and others, if you enjoy our content, please donate at our Patreon page. Also subscribe, comment, and share. And help the PRO Media Network reach 10,000 subs. Peace.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us.